to second half of play. As you look statistically at this football game, the passing yardage very close. Atlanta, however, with the advantage in both time of possession and rushing.
Right, and then the first down is probably the story there, with Atlanta has 12 first downs. The 49ers only have 6. But there's one other interesting statistic, I think, that tells the story of why the score is 7-3 after one half. The fact that the third down efficiency, each team only has 2 of 9.
And in this game, both teams have allowed 1 sack. Fumbles, well, neither team have lost any there, but of course, both coming up with 1 interception. Ray Wershing, who kicked a field goal of 41 yards in distance with 4 seconds left in the first half, ready to kick off. Alfred Jackson is back deep for Atlanta. 7-3, the Falcons. They're a half away, if they can hang on here, to a division championship. Jackson out to the 20 to the 21-yard line. And one thing that's been very, very positive for both these teams is the coverage by their special teams on punts and kickoffs.
The coverage by the special teams and the play of the defense, the swarming and the tackling of both defenses have really thwarted both the offenses.
Gary Bender with John Madden as we start this second half. That's Bobby Farrell, who's one of those outstanding special teams players. We mentioned he is the captain of their special teams. In fact, just elected that, and he made a tackle, you might recall, in that first half on a punt. John, I want to go back to a point, though, that you were just talking about a lot in that first half, and that being that Atlanta playing very conservative, maybe at this stage playing not to win but not to lose.
Right, and we'll see this. We'll see Farrell coming into the screen right there. See him catch that block there, and it looks like as he goes down, he gets the knee twisted.
But to get to that point, I would imagine Lehman Bennett had a long conversation with his team.
I'm sure he did. You know, it was one thing that you just said, that the Falcons have to hold on. I think they have to do more than hold on. I think they have to attack, go out and get them, make something happen.
And there's making something happen. William Andrews picking up some yardage. Dwight Hicks, Dan Buns. As you look at Lehman Bennett, forward progress is going to be just about 2 yards, maybe a yard short of the first down. Andrews coming in here with a Falcon record of 1,125 yards, the best average in the NFC, 5 yards a carry. He's done it all this year. Second down, about a yard. And Andrews gets a first down. Andrews to the 35. Pillars with the stop. You might recall it was the initial series of this game that Atlanta scored on. They'd like to do that as they start this second half of play.
And I'm sure that at halftime, that's one of the things that they talk about. You always look at what you did good in the first half and what you did poorly. You try and stay with what you did good. You try and correct what you did poorly. Now, they realize that they ran early well with Andrews and Kane, and they want to get back to that.
First down from the 35. Bartkowski to Kane. Kane breaks out of there, and that's very close to another first down. Hicks again on the stop. So they have 1-2 punch, the most productive tandem in the National Football League. They came in here, Kane and Andrews, combined rushing of over 1,800 yards. Andrews, this time Kane, and that was a first down. They mark it at the 45-yard line.
Now, those are the types of things that you can do at halftime. Sometimes during the game, during the second quarter, things get away from you. You have a chance to go in and collect your thoughts.
Here is Kane, and Kane picks up 5 to the 50. Jimmy Webb hitting. Jimmy Webb, who's working on his degree in veterinary medicine, over to make the stop on Kane. Webb this year has been slowed with a broken hand. He had a cast on his hand for a long time.
You know, one other thing, Gary, we had a report that Ricky Churchman, the strong safety of the 49ers, was injured and may not come back. He's not playing now. He's really a very important factor in their run defense. It may be a little easier without Churchman in there.
What has happened, they have Rhodes playing a safety along with Dwight Hicks. Junior Miller. And Miller inside the 45 to the 43. Ray Rhodes, the man we just mentioned, making the stop. And a very relentless attack now by this Atlanta team. Very indicative of that drive that they scored on back in the first quarter.
I was going to say, they're doing the same types of things that they did in the first quarter on that drive. They're throwing to Junior Miller, and they're running the ball to William Andrews and Lynn Kane.
To further develop that secondary, Gerard Williams is now at left corner. Rhodes has moved to safety, still having Johnson at the right corner spot. On a first down. Andrews this time, well, wait a minute, don't give up on him yet. Looked like he didn't have anything. Instead, he gets to the 37. Jim Stuckey pounces on him there. He disappeared from view, but you could see he was making some progress because that pile was moving along with him.
As you say, we'll watch it here. Now watch these two running backs. They hand off. It's a little cut back. He had pretty good blocking in there. But watch those legs drive. You know, that's the one thing that you want a running back to do. You tell him, never stop your legs from driving. Never stop your feet from moving forward.
I think he's listening to you.
No. Someone taught him that a long time ago.
Second down, 5. Atlanta with a 7-3 lead. The initial series of the second half. Martkowski to Andrews. Andrews bounces off of people, and he's not going to get the first down. Dan Bunz eventually making the stop. Let's take an isolated look at that last effort by number 31.
And we'll see this. We'll see both of the running backs and see how they block for each other. Now Lynn Kane is leading on that. He's leading on the outside man. He gets a good block, but the inside man is the one that stops him, but he hasn't stopped him yet, but he didn't get enough for the first down.
Look at that. Bunz just kind of whirlwind around with him, spin around to get him down. Third down.
I bet they don't quarterback sneak this one.
Third down, 1. He called it. Here's Kane, and I don't know. We may have a fourth down coming up. Jerry Wilkinson, a former Ram who's 6'9" and weighs 260, was in on that tackle. And the ball being placed, it's going to be fourth down.
We're going to have fourth down, and it looks like the Falcons are going to go for another fourth down situation.
Remember now, in the first half, both teams had fourth and less than a yard and didn't get it in the first half.
I would think if I were going to do it that I would hand the ball to William Andrews. I tried the quarterback sneak, and that one didn't work. Look at the fans. They love it when you go for it. If you don't make it, they don't love it, though.
Boy, that's a reversal in opinion in a hurry, isn't it?
Give it to big 31.
That's who they're going to. Andrews, he's tripped up. The ball is loose, but it's been blown dead. Now, I don't think Andrews got it.
No, he didn't get it. I'll tell you, the one thing that we forget to mention here again is how well the 49ers are playing. And the thing that the 49ers did well on that play is they got penetration. They got into the backfield and got him stopped before he could get turned up. And that's what you have to do to these two running backs.
Well, what about running straight ahead, though? They ran sideways for a while, and on a short yardage play like that, well, you wonder. Cleveland Browns leading the Vikings. What a big game that is for both of them. However, the Vikings have scored on a 31-yard touchdown pass. Tommy Kramer to tight end Joe Sensor. Here, after a 4th and 1, Atlanta didn't get it. The 49ers with the ball at their own 34. Earl Cooper for a 2-yard pickup to the 36. Kenny Johnson with a stop. We may have a record today for 4th and 1s and not picking them up. We've had 3 thus far.
Right now, let's watch number 65, Don Smith, the nose tackle here. Now watch the play here. You know, they have to stop and play in the middle of the field and then go right down the line of scrimmage. And this is the type of nose tackle you like, one that can play the hole, as Don Smith can. Then if they go away, can come right down that line of scrimmage like an extra linebacker.
Second down and 8, Montana. Too tall, Dwight Clark. A double coverage on him. Kenny Johnson is over there. Also linebacker Joel Williams. Montana.
You mean he wasn't tall enough? What do you mean, too tall?
The pass,
no,
too tall.
Oh, I see. The pass was too tall. Or you could say Dwight Clark wasn't tall enough.
There's DeBerg. He has the information in. Turns around and walks away like he didn't think that was going to work.
No, he says, I want to play. Give me my helmet.
Third down and 8. The 49ers, who have won 3 in a row. They'd like to end 8-8. That was their goal, really, at the start of the year. Back to throw, Montana on 3rd and 8. This time, Sullivan. Check that. Owens going up for it. Kenny Johnson defending on the play. And again, that secondary of Atlanta's around the football. There hasn't been really anybody that open in this entire game.
Oh, and again, it was too tall. He threw
what, the receiver or the ball?
No, the ball. He threw 2 talls in a row. Two talls.
Here's Miller back, doing a good job today. 42-yard average. Kenny Johnson
out of the shade.
There's Johnson. Now he'll have a little sun there, as you can see. Miller kicking out of the shade. Very, very well kicked. High at the 20. Johnson. I believe Atlanta's recovered it. They did. Kenny Johnson. Let's see who saved it for him. A 44-yard kick. And that is Roland Lawrence. So Lawrence very opportunistic on that play. Saved that could have been a big turnover here in this third quarter play. So you have to win this game. They're going to get into the playoffs. Nick Lowry's kicked another field goal in that game. James Hadnot scored on a 3-yard touchdown run. As at one time, Pittsburgh led in that game 7-0. With the football, Atlanta. The line of scrimmage, 17-yard line. Back to throw, Bartkowski. Gets it off to Andrews. Andrews, 25. And that's about it. Ray Rhodes over there to make the stop. Still going to be 2 yards short of the first down. Terry Tutalo over. Tutalo, the man they picked up after he started the year with the Eagles, then went to the Bears. Now a young man who played his collegiate football at UCLA, been a very valuable player for San Francisco.
An excellent job on that screen, because the Falcons had a 4-man screen out in front of Andrews, and Tutalo played through it and made the tackle.
2nd and 2, Lynn Kane. And Kane having to work hard. Thing about San Francisco is that you would figure on those short yardage situations you'd be successful, but they have made Atlanta work for everything they've gotten.
They sure have. And again, we talk about the 3-man line, but the thing that affords them is 4 young, quick linebackers who move up and down that line of scrimmage.
Coming into this game, San Francisco was 9th in the conference against the rush, allowing over 134 yards a game. Let's see if that measurement is going to be for the first down, and it will be. They started playing this 3-4 in the 9th game. And of course, they still use a lot of the 4-man front, but there's been indication that this defense is not nearly as bad off as everybody was thinking it was going to be. They ran into a couple of buzzsaws there back-to-back in LA and Dallas, kind of regrouped since that time.
Right.
First down, Bartkowski. Over the middle to Andrews. Andrews to the 39, and that'll be another first down. Again, Tutalo 50, Buns over on the stop. Atlanta moving the ball again, but they did this the last time, only to fall short on a 4th down.
Right, and they're getting it up and down, and we'll see again here. We'll see the protection. He has pretty good protection. He's looking to the outside. He has to come back to Andrews on a check through. That means he checks like he's going to block and then delays and comes through.
6 catches for Andrews in this game for 48 yards. Lynn Kane. Kane to the 40. And at the 41-yard line. Some yelling and screaming going on around there as they were treating Kane tough on that sideline.
That happens every time you make a tackle on the sideline. You always get some abuse.
You never did any of that, did you?
I never got any abuse. I gave some abuse. It's just frustration. You really don't mean it.
Keena Turner, by the way, good to see him back in there after being shaken up in that first half. He was in on that stop. 2nd down coming up, 7 yards to go. Bartkowski and the Falcons. What a big day this could be. They want to win this, clinch the division, then go to LA next week and get a week off for the playoffs. That one is Jackson. Oh, Wallace Francis. Correction. Wallace Francis to the 25-yard line. Beautifully thrown football by Bartkowski.
Right, that was. It was a double zone. The corner was up on Francis, bumping the safety. Rhodes didn't get over to that side. Bartkowski hit him right between the 2 defenders. You see the stun in there. They do a good job of picking up the stun. See now in this, there's a short man there and a deep man that'll come into the picture right here, and he threw it right between the 2. That's what the Falcons have to do. They have to get the ball to their outside receivers, Wallace Francis, Alfred Jenkins.
33-yard pass completion, Lynn Kane, and Kane to the 20 to the 18-yard line. Boy, that last play by Bartkowski showing the strength of his arm. Turner and Buns on the stop for Lynn Kane to the 18-yard line, where he'll be a couple of yards short of the first down.
I think that's the thing that they needed, Gary, because they have been running the ball with Kane and Andrews. They have thrown the ball to Junior Miller. The only part of their offensive arsenal that they really hadn't exploited today were the two wide receivers, and they look like they're starting that now.
Kane, who has 2 100-yard days this year, having a good afternoon. This is Andrews. Andrews to the 10. That'll be a first down. Ray Rhodes made the stop. And the people here in the Peach State of Georgia are starting to get very excited.
There's some good blocking on this play. I think we have to mention Mike Ken, the left tackle. Dave Scott, the left guard, does a nice job. Jeff Van Note, the center, gets good movement in there to let William Andrews get up into the line.
So they have a first down. They can pick up a first and goal at about the half-yard line. Francis in motion. Bartkowski, the double fake. Junior Miller trying to take it in. He's in for the touchdown. Dwight Hicks just couldn't keep the big rookie tight end out of the end zone.
I'll tell you, that was some throw by Steve Bartkowski. It looked like he was a little shaken up, but they came on a safety blitz on that one. And we'll see if just as he's ready to throw the ball, he takes a lick here. Now watch the safety coming right up the middle. That's Ray Rhodes coming right up the middle. Just as Bartkowski throws the ball, he really takes one.
Boy, that big guy, he's unstoppable in a situation like that. Mazzetti, point after attempt. It's 14-3 in favor of Atlanta. So the Falcons, the last 2 times they've had the ball, have moved it well. This time, they got it into the end zone. Bartkowski to Miller. Miller coming away in this game with yet another touchdown pass, his 8th. Junior Miller, with that touchdown catch, has tied the club record. He has 8 for the year. The record was set last year by his teammate, Wallace Francis. 6 catches today for the rookie. 14-3 Atlanta. This place is alive. James Owens. Owens to the 20, out to the 23-yard line. Owens this year has returned a kickoff. 101 yards for a touchdown. That against Detroit. That was a 17-yard return. Robert Pennywell with the stop. And now you wonder, John, is San Francisco's really going to have to open up, trailing 14-3? But the way Atlanta's been playing defense, there just hasn't anybody been open.
No, I think they will open up. They would like to get some better field position. That's one thing. Atlanta, with their kicking and their coverage and having pretty good field position, really hasn't put San Francisco in some real good field position.
From the 23, Montana on first down. Open over the middle. Freddie Solomon. And that's a very quick way to come back, isn't it? All the way into the Atlanta end of the field. They're going to mark the ball at the 46-yard line. Rollin Lawrence with the tackle.
Freddie Solomon is the one game breaker that the 49ers have, and that's the one player that the Falcons were worried about. He just comes right on a post pattern, and that's a seam type thing. It's a zone defense, and he ran in the seam between the corner and the safety.
31-yard completion to this man who played his collegiate football at Tampa.
He's a quarterback.
And a very fine runner. Excellent running quarterback. Montana on first down again. He's going to take off. And he goes down in the fetal position at the 40. Picking up 6 yards on the play. Again, the protection was pretty good, but again, Atlanta wasn't letting anybody get open in that secondary.
No, they weren't, because the 49ers were trying to go deep. They had 3 receivers deep. There was nothing open. The only thing that Montana could do was run the ball. He waited as long as he could, as we see here, and then he had to take it himself.
DeBerg with the play information. It's anybody's guess what that means.
What would you guess?
Well, they're going to try a triple reverse, I think.
No, it's a pass.
Second down, 4 from the 40. There's a delay to Don Woods. He's off and running, and that cost him up to the 20. Woods to the 17-yard line. They got to call that play more often. Tom Pridemore made the tackle, and that really surprised Atlanta. 23-yard pickup on the play.
That's not a bad one. It is, you know, they pass so much that their running really has to be off at this time. They caught Atlanta in a safety blitz. They had Bob Glazebrook, the strong safety, was up in the line of scrimmage. He came, so when Woods got through, then he was past 8 of them, and they only had 3 defenders left.
So all of a sudden, San Francisco looking impressive, trailing 14-3. First down at the 18-yard line. Montana in the corner. Pridemore, also Curry, Williams over there. The intended receiver was Clark, but he really wasn't all that close to the football.
I don't know if the intended receiver wasn't the back, Lenville Elliott. He had 2 players in his, so he's trying to throw it to Elliott right there. He just throws it a little behind him. He had him for a second, but that was good coverage.
A lot of red shirts around him. There's what you were talking about earlier, John. 15 interceptions. 7 of those by Richardson.
Now that's when coaches talk about contribution. That's a contribution.
Second down 10 from the 18. Hits Woods. And Woods is hit immediately. Glazebrook, Kuykendall is one of those players they just say has tremendous ability to be taught something and never forget it. He's been playing, as you well know, with a shoulder difficulty. He looks like he's a little pain right now.
Look at those shoulder pads. They look like they're built up. But you know what his nickname is?
Captain Crazy.
I love that. You know, they're all a little that way anyway. Really, you have to be a linebacker. They all have a little different look in their eye. He is.
And you looked for that, didn't you, all the time?
I love Captain Crazy. Should be a linebacker. Number 54. Great number.
Great number. All right. 3rd and 10. Quarterback draw, Montana. And he is going to get to the 12-yard line area where to bring up the 4th down. Well, that's what Montana gives this team, is the ability to run, and that time trying to cross him up the middle. No field goal attempt coming up, evidently. 4th down.
That didn't, I don't know, 3rd and 10 is a long way to have a quarterback have to run on a draw play, especially against this swarming defense of the Falcons. See, they don't change. They use the 3 linemen, 4 linebackers in all situations.
Well, they're not going to go for the field goal, obviously. 4th down.
Fans are all standing up.
4th down and 4. Woods, he can throw. He's 1 for 2 in that department. Still looking, and he never did. He never did get rid of the football. Al Richardson, the man we spoke of earlier, stayed with him, and Don Woods, who has thrown 2 passes previous to that, completing 1, just couldn't find anybody open to throw to.
There was no one down there. It's tough to throw a pass when there's not a receiver out there.
His last play on a 4th and 4, Don Woods.
Now look, now he's coming here. He's ready to throw. There's no receiver down there. He waits and he waits. Finally, Easton Ransom gets off the line and gets downfield, but it's too late. By that time, Don Woods was out of bounds.
Falcon fever. Last week, remember, what did Philadelphia do? Louis Giamona threw a touchdown pass against Atlanta. I'm sure San Francisco filed that away. Lynn Kane. And Kane back to about the line of scrimmage, and that's all. That was a great conversation you had with Jerry Glanville, the defensive coach for Atlanta. What did he call Giamona?
He called him Giamini. He said, I told the guys every time Giamini comes in there to play pass, Giamini doesn't run, Giamini throws the ball. He said, and what happens? They put Giamini in. Giamini comes out there, throws a touchdown pass.
You're going to say that after a while.
He said, I asked the guys, I said, who was in there? Giamini? They said, yeah, Giamini.
No gain on that last play. 2nd and 10. 14-3 Atlanta. Bartkowski. Beautiful catch. Wallace Francis. He's gone. Wallace Francis. And the place is in bedlam here. He had Johnson and Rhodes along with him. 81 yards. And Francis, who's been the guy who said they're going to the Super Bowl way back at the start of the year, made a catch that takes him a step closer.
Look at these fans. Boy, are they happy. They're number one. Watch this throw. Bartkowski really heaved this one out there. He not only had good coverage, he had double coverage. He split the double coverage. You talk about concentration. Wallace Francis is a real threat.
And this guy didn't even play for 4 years. He couldn't find a starting job in 2 years in Buffalo, 2 years here with Atlanta until Lehman Bennett came in, and boy, he's a starter now.
And they're happy on the sideline. He's saying it's about time.
Mazzetti, the point after. Francis now in this game, look at Bartkowski, has 3 catches for 136 yards and a touchdown. And the guy known as Peachtree Bart, along with his teammate Francis, have exploded. Bartkowski with 2 touchdown tosses, 245 yards. He's 6 for 6 in this half. And we're going to take a look after a while, after this kickoff, at that 81-yard strike to Wallace Francis.
Look at Tim Mazzetti there as we see him. He has 1 white shoe and 1 black shoe. You know why?
Why?
The white shoes is plant foot, the black shoes are what he kicks with.
He kicked this one relatively short. Owens at the 20. And Owens will bring it out to the 27. Let's go back now on that electrifying 81-yard strike.
We have to see this one again. There was a blitz coming from the outside. Good pass protection. Allowed Bartkowski to step up. But watch this throw. Runs right between 2 defenders. Looks the ball over his shoulder. And then it's history.
It's exactly what it is. It may be the division title right there. Boy, there's that little step he did last week when he caught that pass against Philadelphia. He's got that down to an art form.
That's a nice little move.
Look at the stats. He came in here averaging 14 yards a catch. I think he stepped that average up a little bit. Now a little end around reverse to Solomon. Solomon's throwing, incomplete to Ransom. San Francisco now reaching into their grab bag of tricks. They had everything on that play. A reverse, a run, a pass, but nothing is able to be completed. It brings up 2nd and 10.
Well, that was one trick that we saw them work on yesterday in practice, is that reverse pass. Freddie Solomon, of course, he was a quarterback in college, but he was a passing quarterback also. He was a good passer. There was 1 year with the 49ers where he started and played quarterback in a game.
2nd down, 10. Here comes Williams. Joel Williams. That's the man we've talked about who has 15 sacks. He came roaring through, and they're going to rule an incomplete pass. He just got rid of that in time. Look at Williams. Is he something?
I'll tell you, he really has the technique of this down, but the thing is here, he doesn't get blocked, so it's pretty easy, and he just comes storming from that side. You know, the thing that's tough about Williams is he has great speed.
He's 6 foot 215. Richardson 6'2", 206. Now, by a lot of NFL standards, they're too small. But as you said earlier, John, that's a changing thing, a coming thing in the National Football League.
Right, and they're big enough to turn this Falcon team around.
3rd down and 10. Gets it off. Linville Elliott. And Elliott will be short of the 1st down. Don Smith reacting from the nose tackle spot, and Joe Montana leaves, and boy, he's got a tough situation now, because with it blitzing, the ability to chase the quarterback, and down 21-3, that's a terrible situation for a quarterback to be in.
And I like the way Atlanta played that. You know, they just got ahead. They just got their 21st point, 21-3, and instead of sitting and playing cautious, they went after it.
Jim Miller. No real rush put on this time. Kenny Johnson at the 25-yard line. Johnson dropped short of the 30 at the 29. That time, Terry Tutalo and Craig Pookie, 54 on the tackle. 43-yard punt, a 7-yard return. So Atlanta, in their 15th year of existence, getting closer and closer to a division title, and I'm sure the people watching in Los Angeles, the Rams, realizing now that maybe in that wild card situation.
That's right, because if Atlanta wins today, of course, they clinch the division.
You know,
but there's
another
always
thing,
something
though.
in this. You know, and then after that to say, but they have to win next week to clinch the home field throughout the playoffs.
Here's Andrews. Andrews out of bounds at 31. Now, something that I was not aware of, wasn't paying much attention to, is that as you look at this, the Eagles, they're trying to keep pace with Dallas, who plays the Rams on Monday night, is that if the Rams would lose Monday night and then lose against Atlanta and Detroit would win both, Detroit would be the wild card.
That's the thing about this system. You know, as we said before today's games, there were 14 teams that could possibly be in the playoffs. Look at these scores. Those Chiefs have done something the last few weeks.
Haven't they?
Kenny at quarterback.
Played well last week. 2nd down and 8. Blitz by the linebacker. Andrews, 35 to the 41. First down. Barnes was coming on a blitz, and they picked him up.
That's right. They had the blitz, and Andrews went right by him. But did you see Hicks when he hit Andrews? He really took a jolt.
And we have come to the end of the 3rd quarter of play with the score, Atlanta 21. San Francisco 3. We now pause for a word from your local station. Bartkowski, well, the happy man. 2 touchdown passes today. He has 28 for the year. And the statistics on this man just improve every week.
He was happy with that long one that he threw to Wallace Francis. They love to do that, those bombs.
81 yards. We start the 4th quarter. First down for Atlanta. Andrews behind big Mike Ken, number 78. Boy, this place is something in it. They haven't had a championship. 2 years ago, they did make it to the playoffs as a wild card team and won here against Philadelphia. Then losing against Dallas, we have illegal procedure against the Falcons.
Did you notice that the official's microphone hasn't been working today, has it? We haven't had to listen to him, have we?
A couple of times.
Less than 7 on the line of scrimmage. Declined. 2nd down.
That just shows me you never listen to officials.
No, because we haven't had many penalties then, because that's Jim Tunney, the referee, who's one of the premier officials in the National Football League. I have a lot of respect for all of them. I have a lot of respect for that man, but I haven't heard him talk much today. And usually, Jim gets a lot of time. A lot of time.
2nd down. 2nd down and 8 after that. Junior Miller in motion. Bartkowski up to Andrews, 45, 50, and the Auburn product is all the way to the 42 for a first down, and there are bodies strewn along the field for the last 15 yards.
Sure would. That's a screen pass, and again, they had Dave Scott out there in front, and we'll see the whole thing again. They let the receivers go downfield, see, and try and get the secondary deep. Now Andrews fakes. Now see Scott 70 coming out there. Now he'll get out in front. Now he'll make the block right there that springs him. Jeff Van Note is also out there making a block. And then they let the Bronco do the rest of it.
I think this guy's going to the Pro Bowl, don't you?
I'll tell you, if he doesn't, they ought to check the people that vote on it.
42-yard line. First down for Atlanta. 13:52 left in this game. Atlanta looking for a victory, number 9 in a row. Their 12th of the year. Jenkins hemmed in. Boy, you think about this Atlanta team. John, you had their first game of the year. They lost in the last seconds to Minnesota, went in against New England, and that was the pivot point.
That's true. You know, they started out that first game. I really had the feeling they didn't know how good they were. But I think they found out the next week in New England against the Patriots. And I've said all season that probably that day that was the best team that we've seen all year. It was the Falcons against New England, the 2nd game of the season.
Andrews, by the way, has 143 yards in total offense, 80 of it by the rush. Now he's going to pick up some more. Andrews inside the 35. Andrews this year has 5 100-yard days, including last week against Philadelphia of 101 yards. As Andrews in that New England game that you talked about, that he gained 124 yards.
You see that neck brace that he wears there? I was talking to him about that yesterday, and he said he wants it right below his helmet so that when he gets hit, the helmet doesn't go back at all. And I told him one day that I thought it looked a little loose. And he said, well, sometimes it gets loose during a game, but he likes to keep it tight as he has it there, right up behind the helmet.
3rd down and 2 for the Falcons, who lead it 21-3. There he goes. Andrews on his way, all the way down to the 11, and he has another 100-yard day. Charles Johnson stopped him, and did he get down there? A 23-yard romp. He is putting on a clinic in this football game.
We'll see it. It's called a delay, but one thing with William Andrews, he doesn't delay long. Look, he starts, and then he cuts right back against the grain, and that's a runaway Bronco, and he only knows one way to go, and that's straight up the field to the goal line.
He has 105 yards. And 6 of those 100-yard days coming this season.
Have you ever heard of him at Auburn?
I never had. You know, it's amazing. He was drafted on the 3rd round, and Tom Brott said if everybody thought he'd been so good, they would have taken him earlier.
Including him.
There's Bartkowski kind of sidearmed that one, intended for Miller. Well, he played behind Joe Cribbs, who, of course, has done so well this year for Buffalo. Same story for Lynn Kane. He played behind Charles White. Kane was one of those fullbacks, never got a chance to run around the end.
No, they didn't play behind him. They played in front of those guys. They were the fullback or the blocking back for those 2 tailbacks.
Played in the shadow of, anyway. Mayberry is now in there. Now Andrews coming back in. Mayberry will check out. Mayberry's a good football player in his own right, but he's not getting any playing time because of Andrews. 2nd down. Still 10 yards to go. The line of scrimmage, the 12. Bartkowski, you can see he's in control. Little delay to Andrews. This time, Archie Reese was not fooled. And Reese able to drop it. Look at this. Pittsburgh has taken the lead. Rocky Blyer, an 11-yard touchdown run. They are still alive in that playoff picture. 21-16. Atlanta now 11 minutes exactly away from a division title. A 12-3 record and a 9-game winning streak. I think I mentioned earlier the last time somebody won 9 games in a row was 1976. That was the year the Johns team also won 10 in a row. 3 wide receivers in on a 3rd down 10. What a catch! What a catch by Francis! Wallace Francis has another one. He's looking around to see where he landed.
He wanted to make sure that was a touchdown, but they had the 3 wide receivers. He was from the slot side, and he ran a corner on that play. And you know, that's what they didn't do in the first half. They got down there and they didn't throw the ball into the end zone. Now watch it. 3 wide receivers. We'll see Andrews back here. There's a stunt. A good job of pass protection. Francis is the inside guy going to the corner. Geez, it was a beautiful catch. He had to get up and get that one, didn't he?
Well, Wallace Francis is really on today. 2 touchdown catches, 7 for the year. It's now 28-3 in a game that at halftime was 7-3 in favor of Atlanta, has now erupted in favor of Atlanta. 70-yard drive and 10 plays. CBS. Well, the fans here are becoming very festive. The Falcons with a 28-3 lead. Mazzetti gets another one into the end zone. That's twice he's really kicked them. Owens won't bring it out. Right now, everything Atlanta's doing is being cheered by these fans. The sellout crowd here today. I believe in Steve. I think today further substantiates that. Boy, you think about it, a couple of years ago, Bartkowski playing here in a preseason game against Philadelphia was booed, went to the locker room, was in tears, and what a reversal in his life, both personally as well as on the football field.
Right, and of course that offensive line has done an outstanding job all year.
From the 20, San Francisco with 10:27 left in the game. Joe Montana. And at the 49-yard line, Pridemore and Johnson over there. It was actually Johnson went over the back. The intended receiver Owens, and Montana getting up and walking back. He's got to be a tired young man. He's had to work Look at this.
The Saints may finally do it in the 15th week of the season.
Well, in that game, Tony Galbraith has just scored from 1 yard out.
Although last week they were ahead by 28 and got beat by this 49er team.
35-7 they led the 49ers at half. Last week, San Francisco with their greatest come-from-behind victory ever.
Bill Walsh said you couldn't believe it. Standing there on the sideline, he said it just started, the momentum started picking up and picking up and picking up, and said he couldn't believe it.
2nd and 10. Montana fumbles the ball. It's loose in the end zone. Coming up with is Richardson for the touchdown. Al Richardson. As we said, in 7 straight games, he's had at least 1 turnover, and he just came up with another one.
I'll tell you, that just shows that he's the type of player that's always around the ball. If it's not an interception, it's a fumble recovery, and we see it here again. It's a touchdown. You know, he just makes things happen. As this whole team does, they get a push here. Look at Richardson. He's coming from the outside. Montana steps up. The ball comes out. Look at that little move that he made to stop and go back to get the ball.
It was Don Smith that stripped the ball.
Don Smith hit Montana and stripped the ball.
You can add that in the last 8 games now after that last touchdown. Mazzetti is getting a lot of work in the point after department, makes it 35-3. And this Atlanta team, who came in here with all kinds of hopes of winning the division title, are really doing it in a very impressive fashion. On CBS, we're going to have an NFL Today special edition. We'll have the Bears against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Stadium. John and I will be down there for that. We'll also have a great afternoon with skating at its best, world competition, figure skating, barrel jumping. Special edition of the NFL Today as we go into the last week of the regular season of play. Here's Mazzetti, an absolute repeat of the kickoff just a while ago.
He's getting stronger and stronger. I guess that stomach muscle's better, isn't it?
Well, when things start going for you, and right now everything is going Atlanta's way, and they're starting to jump in the streets of Atlanta now. And these fans here, well, I guess there's never been a finer moment in Atlanta football history.
Well, you know, they've been in the playoffs, but of course they've never won the division. And we see the lineman, R.C. Thielman there, they're talking it over now and say, boy, we did good today.
Hey, you know, Andrews is getting them a gift, isn't he?
He sure is. He's buying them all briefcases, whole offensive line.
Montana off to Dwight Clark, 7-yard pickup to the 27. In fact, he was telling us he got him out in California, some briefcases for all the players, and the way Andrews is playing, they ought to get him something too.
Well, you know, they said that he really doesn't have to get anything for them as we look at him there relaxing now, and it's a well-deserved relax, but he's saying that he adds so much to them. He said that they know that all they have to do is block a little, and he's going to get through the hole. He said that's all they need.
On a 2nd and 3, San Francisco trying to run for that first down, and there just isn't anything up there. See Wilson Famuina getting up. Famuina has been slowed this year with a hairline fracture of his ankle. Also getting up slowly, Edgar Field, 77.
You know, you bring up the names of Famuina and Edgar Fields and so on. One thing about this team is we look at the Browns 23 over the Vikings. The Vikings need one. But anyway, the thing about Atlanta is as we get closer to the playoffs, they're getting stronger. They're starting to get players back, and they haven't lost any.
That's been said of Dallas. The way Dallas is playing. It's interesting how they've done that many times. Now here's a first down run. Don Woods to the 40-yard line. Pridemore. Woods has played very well today. And there will be the new quarterback when they get the football, Mike Morawski. This young man played collegiately at California Davis. Chuck Corrill, who is the snapper, may also come in and play center in place of Jeff Van Note. Morawski just hadn't had a chance to play this year.
No, and that's one thing that Coach Lehman Bennett will have an opportunity to do now is to play some of these backup players, maybe the rest of today's game and maybe next week.
8:12 left in this game. First down for San Francisco at the 39. Montana. Owens for a moment. He really got extended on that play. Pridemore There's Francis and Miller.
Junior Miller. Now look at the size of him. You know, Tom Brookshire said he's 6'4", 235 pounds, and he said if he's junior, he'd like to see what senior looks like.
Boy, what a first-round draft pick he is. Tim Mitchell, the tight end, finally just couldn't play any longer. They had very fine tight end play. But Miller's come along and has really done the job. Second down 10. That's Woods in motion. Montana looking to him. Nice move by Don Woods, 50. Woods, who made a big gainer earlier in the game, is now in at the Atlanta end of the field to the 47-yard line. Pride Moore and now Earl Jones, a rookie out of Norfolk State, is back in that secondary. One of the guys that you mentioned a while ago that Coach Bennett will take a look at. He was a third-round draft pick this year.
You know, Coach Bennett is starting to do that now. He's taken Bob Glazebrook out. I think Buddy Curry is coming out now. We see Robert Pennywell is in there. I think he's starting now to give some players some experience that he may need in the playoffs.
Houston also winning today. They need to win. Cleveland winning. Going down to that final week. A lot of those teams in the AFC to decide it. Montana to Clark. And Dwight Clark has the catch inside the 45. Joel Williams defending on that first down toss. It'll bring up second down and now 5. Lynn King. There's another one. I tell you, start singling out players, you have to point to all of them.
Well, that's why they're here in the playoffs, you know, because they have a solid team. You know, they can pass the ball and run the ball with equal proficiency. And those are the types of teams that get into the playoffs. You know, not the teams that can only pass it or can only run it, but the teams that can do both.
6.5 minutes left in this game. A couple of fakes by Montana, and he has a completion to the 30-yard line. Dwight Clark with the catch and Ronald Lawrence with the tackle. Let's go back and look at it again.
We'll watch Dwight Clark come down here, and he just runs a hooking pattern. See, he starts, then he pushes up, then he comes back into the middle. He's really been a pleasant surprise for this 49er football team. And he's one of the players that Bill Walsh can look forward to for next year to really build his team around.
Mike Kinn, there's a young man out of Michigan. In a short length of time, only his third year, is considered by many the premier offensive tackle in the NFC. Here's Woods. And Woods swarmed at the 30-yard line. Edgar Fields over there. Montana is now 19 of 30 for 155 yards. And there's Warren Bryant, the other tackle, the bookends, as Lehman Bennett calls him.
Those are the guys that are going to get the briefcases, but I'm sure that they're a lot more interested in other things, such as the playoffs and the championship and what lies ahead.
Dave Scott there, Philman also there. Boy, it's a young offensive line too. Bryant in his 4th year, Philman in his 4th year, Scott in his 5th, and Ken in his 3rd. Van Noten's the veteran, the graybeard, his 12th year. But we watched film of him, and Van Note has played very well.
He sure has, and he probably appreciates this and what's happening to the Falcons this year more than anyone.
Second down 10, Clark can't hang on. That'll stop the clock with 4:59 left in the game. And there's a guy in his 6th year. Bartkowski. Used to be, John, they used to say that it takes 5 years to mature in the National Football League as a quarterback. Now, that would prove true with this guy.
It does, especially if you don't have a real good team. And I think the thing that helped him are those 2 running backs behind him and that offensive line in front of him. But, you know, last week he did something. There was a penalty, and he had 21 yards to go, and he threw a 22-yard pass for a first down. And I said, now there's a mature Steve Bartkowski.
Well, San Francisco's asked the timeout. Lehman Bennett must be breathing a sigh of relief, as we're going to have 4:59 left to be played. That game, well, may not mean as much now, especially for Atlanta, but look at the Eagles and Cowboys.
Oh, that'll mean something.
That's next Sunday, and then, of course, next Saturday, we'll be down in Tampa.
We'll be the only announcers that day.
Back to throw. Montana on 3rd and 10. Incomplete. Clark has been a very busy guy coming over the middle, taking a pounding. That'll bring up 4th down. Let's take an isolated look at this young man from Clemson in his 2nd year, a 10th round draft pick.
This is one thing about Dwight Clark. You know, he knows when you come in with a 3-man line team, that means that there's 4 linebackers in the middle. You know, and he'll do that. He'll get open in there. He didn't catch that one, but that's a lot of traffic when you work in that area.
He has 6 catches for 57 yards. Jim Laughlin defending on the play. He's the rookie who started when Kuykendall was hurt and played extremely well. They really like him. I think he's a Stan White type, very smart player. On a 4th down, San Francisco trailing 35-3, and Clark intercepted. That is Earl Jones, his first interception in the National Football League. Jones out of Norfolk State, a man who they really have some high hopes for, and look at his eyes. Are they big? Is he excited?
I'll tell you, he's happy, and he's not going to give that ball back. He said, I intercepted it, I'm going to keep it and take it home.
I think it is. There's the man who just picked off the bass, Earl Jones. He was a track man at Norfolk State. He kept the football, and he's telling them all about it. New quarterback, Mike Morosky, has come in. He hasn't played at all this year. Out of Cal Davis, 6th round draft pick a year ago. After the interception, setting the ball up at the 7-yard line. Here's Mayberry out of Colorado. Mayberry out to the 9. Mayberry is the guy who they drafted in the 3rd round a year ago, which, interestingly enough, the same round as Andrews. We're having some video problems right now. We apologize for that.
You know, one thing, I think one advantage of clinching your division championship early is that you can play players that haven't played much and get them a little experience. But the other thing, or probably the most important thing, is that you can rest some injured players so that you don't have to go into the playoffs beat up.
And another thing, with Atlanta winning the division, they get that first round, that first day off, first weekend. You don't have to play in the wild card. That helps. Here's Mayberry. Mayberry out to the 21, a flag. Mayberry looks an awful lot like Andrews. Built along the same lines, 5'11", 210. Man shaken up, and also, as we mentioned, the flag.
That's going to be a holding penalty against Atlanta. Well, no, it wasn't a clip, Jim. It was a holding.
You guys never were on the same wavelength down there on the field, and here you are up in the booth trying to second guess him again.
Yeah, because it was on Charles Johnson, who's down on the play, but it was a screen pass, and the lineman out in front just took a grab at him. Let's see if we have to listen to him.
Personal foul, clipping, offense number 86. Half the distance, still 2nd down.
Oh, they got the wrong one.
Did they?
Yeah, there was another one out here on this side.
Well, there's the one they gave the discredit to, Mike Smith, rookie from Grambling. He was cut and then re-signed after the Supernat. Reggie Smith was injured. That last pass by Morosky, by the way, was his first of the year. Mayberry.
And the New Orleans Saints, Gary, have just won their first game.
Boy, it's a long dry spell, isn't it? 14 weeks. They were so close last week to doing it. In fact, the last 2 weekends before, they've really pressed people. That's Johnson, the man who's been hurt. Johnson's been having problems with the hip pointer, and there was some concern yesterday during workouts whether he'd be able to play, but now evidently shaken up again. And let's hope it's not that hip pointer again. He got run over by Mayberry, and that's the reason I was saying he looked so much like Andrews on that play.
It does look like it was his hip again.
So after the penalty, 2nd down and 9. We have 3 minutes and 48 seconds left. Fans are starting to cheer. Did they just announce the Saints score? Is that what it was? The Saints winning? The people here are excited about that.
I guess, well, you know, these two teams have really, they're in the same division, but they've been fighting against those Los Angeles Rams for years, trying to get one of them in the playoffs, one of them as a division champion. Atlanta is this year, and they're probably happy to see the Saints win a game.
Rams going to have that long string broken. They were going for their 8th straight division title. This is Anthony Anderson, 33. He loses yardage back to the 5-yard line. Well, John, it's really going to be something. The playoffs. What we have thus far in the AFC, or should say the NFC, as you look at Captain Crazy.
You like that name?
Well, you kind of got me thinking about it a little bit.
Look
now.
at the glint. You see that, his eyes? You see he has a little look? That's not normal. I mean, you have to have that when you get out in the field and you play linebacker and you have a name like Kuykendall and you're nicknamed Captain Crazy. You have to have a little glint in your eye. It's a little different.
We have another final. Pittsburgh defeated Kansas City 21-16. Are you all right?
I like linebackers. I like linemen. I like guys number 54. Kuykendall. Good name.
3rd down. Kowski, and nice play. Catch made by Jackson. Alfred Jackson, and that will get him out of that situation. A 1st down to the 21, and Alfred Jackson has caught 21 passes this year. 6 of them have gone for touchdowns. That's an 18-yard completion.
And that makes Mike Murawski feel pretty good because that was really his first real completion. He threw a couple of screens, but that one is a pass out of the end zone, up the field, a real professional football pass.
And we approach the 2-minute warning. Well, that's something, stand back there in the end zone, not having that much experience. What confidence that will give him.
When you're ahead 35-3, that gives you a little confidence too.
Might be a factor. Here's Mayberry. Mayberry running for maybe a yard. Scott Hilton in the game now, making the tackle. Hilton has had a fractured rib. As there he is again with that glint in his eye, as John Madden described it. The 2-minute warning now being executed here at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. Each other.
I'll tell you, that was quite a sight to see. You know, I know what these players go through. You think of all the years that Rankin Smith went through it, that Jeff Van Note went through it, all the lows that they had, and they really deserve a real high today. 2nd down.
Murawski trying to hit Mayberry. That'll bring up a 3rd down. Coming up in a hurry on that play was Keena Turner. Spotter is Tim Cambius. Our statistician, Joel Alterman. Thank you, gentlemen, for your help today. Announcing some more scores. Pittsburgh, we said, has already won. The Saints breaking 14-game losing streak. We still are having difficulties with the video, so we'll kind of pick up the pace here a little bit with a little radio play-by-play. Have you ever wanted to do a little radio?
Yeah, but I've never done anything. How do you do it?
Well, we'll start it here. The ball's now at the 21-yard line. Receivers wide left and wide right on a 3rd down and 11. Murawski, the quarterback. Straight back to throw, setting up at the 11-yard line. A flag on the play as he fires it to the far side of the field at the 31-yard line. Incomplete, intended for Jackson. That'll bring up 4th down.
Yeah, the viewers at home probably couldn't see that, but that was one of those passes by Murawski that was too tall.
Too tall.
Yeah.
A lot of mustard on it. Well, anyway, we now have 1:51 left in this game. Oh, wait a minute, we have a penalty too.
Encroachment defense. Still 3rd down.
So it's 3rd down after the 5-yard encroachment. Jim Tunney, whose voice you just heard on our now radio description here from the stadium in Atlanta. The ball is now resting at the 26-yard line.
Yeah, that's one great thing about radio is you can make a mistake and no one sees it, so they don't know.
You can always put a lateral in, John, if you got the wrong guy. 3rd down. Handoff up the middle to Mayberry, and Mayberry runs into a lot of difficulty, picks up maybe a yard at the most, and that will bring up another 4th down as Scott Hilton in on the stop.
And the 49ers take a timeout.
Why are they taking a timeout?
They want to get, you know, the ball one more time with one more good shot just to practice for next year.
All right. John James will kick from the 10-yard line. We will be keeping you posted on the other activity as John James on this 4th down with 1:44 left. A lot of excitement here, a lot of distractions going on right now in the stadium.
Well, there was just a cannon went off, and I think some people in the stadium thought that that was the final gun and the game was over, and they started to cheer. We still have 1 minute 44 seconds left to go with the timeout.
We will keep you very closely posted on that Philadelphia St. Louis game.
These fans are something. They're dancing in the aisles. There's people out in the field leading cheers. There was a guy in the dugout that was dancing and leading cheers. And I'll tell you, they're all in red. This is exciting.
Here's James with a picture-perfect punt. Beautiful kick. Freddie Solomon has it at his own 33. He's going to the far side of the field. Oh, is he hit at the 33-yard line. Really belted that time. Coming up with a tackle was Robert Pennywell, the fifth-year man from Grambling. A 41-yard kick. It looked like Solomon had a picket line forming on the far side of the field, but Pennywell had something to do with that. And at the 33-yard line is where San Francisco now has it for the last time. 1:31 left in this game. They trail 35-3. Atlanta clinching the NFC Western Division title here this afternoon. Again, we apologize for the video difficulty. Joe Montana throwing to the far side of the field to Dwight Clark, and Clark advances the ball out to the 39-yard line, where it's going to bring up 2nd down and 4. A pickup of 6 on the play. Dakin and Pennywell combine on the stop. And San Francisco without a huddle now, ready to go at their own 39. Montana in his hurry-up offense with receivers wide left and wide right. Back to throw, Montana again. This time he hits Linville Elliott. He's across the 50 to the 45 of Atlanta, and that will be another first down for San Francisco. And San Francisco now is asking for a timeout. They will stop the clock with 55 seconds left in this football game. The crowd starting now to cheer again as they wait the final 55 seconds of the game. Okay, John, we're now, because of the video difficulty, going to switch to the Philadelphia game against the St. Louis Cardinals.
The Bears 14-7 in the third. Lloyd down the right side to Matt.
Keep the string going. 5 seconds. Oh, did he? I thought he said he didn't.
I thought he did.
All right, we're back here now as we now have 41 seconds left in this game. The 49ers have a first down at the 30-yard line of Atlanta. A pass complete to Dwight Clark, and Clark has the ball at the 16-yard line. We now have 29 seconds left in this game, and the crowd here expectantly awaiting the end of this game as Atlanta now seconds away from their first division championship. San Francisco, though, is trying to finish it off in a positive fashion. Golf is coming up next, the mixed team classic from Florida. Another pass this time from Montana, complete to Solomon inside the 15-yard line with 9 seconds left to go in the game as he gets out of bounds to stop the clock. So this, we again apologize for the video problems we're having here, but this has been a historic day as far as Atlanta is concerned, as the Falcons on their way to their 12th win, their 9th in a row.
And these fans are only 9 seconds away from true celebration, as is the team and the coaches are all standing up here giving a standing ovation to this Atlanta Falcon football team.
2nd down now, 8. John, it's been a very good day as far as Atlanta fans are concerned. We congratulate Lehman Bennett, his staff, the outstanding football team, Eddie LeBaron, Kurt Mosier, and Charlie Dayton, their public relations director. 1 second left as a touchdown pass now by San Francisco. Linville Elliott in the end zone with the pass completion and the touchdown grab. So with 1 second left, the point after attempt coming up. I got to give credit to San Francisco. They just didn't quit. Joe Montana able to fire the first touchdown pass, the first touchdown of the day for San Francisco, who had only earlier a Wershing field goal with 4 seconds left in the first half of 41 yards.
Cheerleaders were out on the field. That's what the crowd's cheering about. Yeah, they did. They had 1 second left. They threw the ball in there for a touchdown, and I think Bill Walsh feels that they want to practice and stay
And
in.
Ray Wershing the point after, and it's all over. The final score, Atlanta defeating San Francisco 35-9. For John Madden, I'm Gary Bender saying so long from Atlanta, Georgia. The NFL on CBS is a presentation of CBS Sports.
Kept their play.